The possibility of Kawasaki reviving the GPZ nameplate has once again ignited debate among motorcycle enthusiasts, especially as the middleweight retrosport segment heats up globally. With competitors moving aggressively, Kawasaki's silence on a modern GPZ has become increasingly conspicuous. Honda recently set the tone by reintroducing four-cylinder character into the mid-capacity class through the CB500 Super 4 and the CBR500R4. These models were not merely nostalgic exercises, but calculated statements aimed at riders craving classic engine layouts with modern compliance. In contrast, Kawasaki's recent product strategy appears cautious, even conservative. While the brand remains strong in leader-class performance and adventure touring, its heritage sport lineup has been conspicuously absent from meaningful revival. At EICMA 2025, Kawasaki did unveil the all-new KLE 500, a move that addressed the growing demand for practical mid-size adventure machines. Practical, however, is not a word typically associated with the GPZ legacy, and that distinction did not go unnoticed by loyal fans. The disappointment was compounded when Kawasaki also chose EICMA 2025 to debut the facelift Ninja ZX-10R. Technically impressive as it may be, the update reinforced Kawasaki's ongoing fixation on high-performance superbikes rather than emotionally driven heritage models. Among Kawasaki loyalists, the absence of a new GPZ model has begun to feel deliberate rather than accidental. Forums and social media channels were filled with criticism, with many fans accusing Kawasaki of neglecting one of its most iconic sport lineages. This frustration is rooted in a moment many still remember vividly: EICMA 2022. At that event, Kawasaki displayed a pristine GPZ 900R against a dramatic Top Gun-themed backdrop, a clear nod to the bike's cultural and cinematic significance. That display was widely interpreted as a teaser. The GPZ 900R, after all, symbolizes Kawasaki's golden era: liquid cooling, aerodynamic fairings, and four-cylinder dominance long before such features were mainstream. Speculation quickly followed. Industry insiders and fans alike believed Kawasaki was preparing to revive the GPZ name, possibly downsizing it to suit modern licensing regulations and emission standards. Fast forward to today, and that speculation has shifted focus toward a potential GPZ400 or GPZ500. From a strategic standpoint, such a move would align perfectly with Honda's CB500 Super 4 revival. A GPZ400 would allow Kawasaki to compete head-to-head without encroaching on its own Ninja 650 or Z650 models. It would also give Kawasaki a four-cylinder halo product in a segment increasingly dominated by parallel twins. The uploaded concept image of the GPZ400 offers compelling clues. The bike features a semi-fair design reminiscent of late 1980s GPZ models, balancing retro proportions with contemporary surfacing. The rectangular LED headlamp is a particularly bold choice. It directly references the GPZ 900R while incorporating modern lighting technology, signaling a deliberate fusion of past and present. The fairing lines appear clean and functional rather than exaggerated, suggesting aerodynamic intent over purely stylistic nostalgia. This aligns with the GPZ ethos as a sport tourer rather than a full-blooded supersport. Gold inverted front forks hint at premium suspension hardware, potentially adjustable, positioning the GPZ400 above entry-level retro machines. This would be consistent with Kawasaki's historical approach to the GPZ as a technologically advanced platform. The engine configuration shown strongly implies an inline-4 layout. The compact cylinder arrangement and exhaust routing suggest Kawasaki could indeed be working on a downsized four-cylinder engine to meet Euro 5+ regulations. If true, this would mark a significant engineering investment, especially at a time when most manufacturers are moving toward twins for cost efficiency. It would also signal Kawasaki's commitment to emotional appeal over pure accounting logic. The exhaust design appears subdued and road-focused, reinforcing the idea that the GPZ400 would prioritize usability and mid-range torque rather than peak horsepower figures. Ergonomically, the bike seems to strike a middle ground. The handlebar height and seat profile suggest a sport touring posture, distancing it from the aggressive Ninja lineup. This positioning would allow the GPZ400 to attract older riders nostalgic for the GPZ era, as well as younger riders seeking something more characterful than a naked bike. Critically, A GPZ400 would also help Kawasaki address the growing criticism that its modern lineup lacks emotional diversity. Performance alone no longer guarantees brand loyalty. Honda understands this well. The CB500 Super 4 is not revolutionary in performance, but it is emotionally resonant, and that matters in today's saturated market. If Kawasaki continues to ignore this shift, it risks ceding cultural relevance to its rivals, even if its machines remain technically superior. The GPZ name carries weight precisely because it represents a moment when Kawasaki dared to blend innovation with identity. Reviving it without conviction would be worse than not reviving it at all.